Consistency feels slow. Day after day, you show up, do the work, and see very little change. That's why most people quit. Not because consistency doesn't work, but because it doesn't work quickly. When we first embark on a new path, the most crucial work happens in the dark. Progress is hidden, not because it isn't there, but because it's accumulating in ways we can't yet measure. It's a subtle shift, a quiet gathering of energy just below the threshold of perception. Our eyes, trained for the immediate and the obvious, fail to register the real transformation taking place. You don't see the microscopic changes, the subtle rewiring happening within. You don't see the imperceptible tearing and mending of muscle fibers that builds true strength, long before the weights feel any lighter. You don't see the new neural pathways being forged through clumsy, frustrating repetition, slowly carving the bedrock of a new skill. You don't see the new habits locking in, each small act a single vote for the person you are becoming, until the behavior becomes second nature. All you see is the effort, the daily grind, the hours invested with no immediate return. And in a world that celebrates overnight success, effort without a visible reward can feel like failure. It feels pointless to those of us conditioned to expect instant results, a clear and linear relationship between action and outcome. We mistake this quiet, foundational phase for stagnation. But consistency is a force of nature. It works quietly, methodically, compounding on itself in the unseen realms. It operates beneath the surface, building a foundation so strong that when the breakthrough finally arrives, it will seem to have appeared out of nowhere. But you will know it was being built all along. There is a quiet, almost invisible force at work in our lives. It doesn't announce itself with thunder or fanfare. It moves in whispers, in the steady rhythm of repetition. This is the power of compounding. It begins with a single, seemingly insignificant action. One drop of water, one page read, one moment of focused effort. On its own, it's a flicker, barely registering. But when repeated day after day, these small actions begin to link together. They gather momentum, merging into a current that is steady, persistent, and powerful. This is the phase of invisible progress, the long, flat line of the journey where effort can feel futile. You show up, you do the work, but the results remain stubbornly out of sight. This is where most people lose faith. They mistake the lack of immediate feedback for a lack of progress, but beneath the surface, a foundation is being built. Then, one day, the shift happens. The results arrive, and they seem to come all at once, creating an outcome that looks sudden to the outside world, but isn't. It's the moment the curve finally, dramatically, bends upward. This is the only part of the process most people ever see. They witness the breakthrough, not the hundreds of quiet attempts that preceded it. And because they don't see the journey, they misinterpret the destination. They call it luck. They call it overnight success. They call it talent, as if it were a gift bestowed at birth rather than a skill forged in the fires of discipline. They never see the months or even years of showing up in the quiet dark. They don't see the unwavering commitment during the long plateau, the period where nothing at all seemed to happen. But it's in that silent, unseen space that everything is truly built. There's a universal pattern to giving up. It's rarely a sudden decision, but a slow erosion of will. We start something new with a burst of enthusiasm, but then we hit the plateau, the dreaded dip. This is where the initial motivation fades and the daily grind sets in. The progress we saw at the beginning seems to vanish, even though we're still putting in the work. Our brains, wired for immediate feedback, start screaming that it's not working. This is the point of maximum friction, and it's precisely here that most people quit. They stop at the worst possible moment, right before the entire nature of the effort is about to change, right before the invisible work starts to compound and become visible, right before habits finally solidify, transitioning from a conscious battle into an unconscious automatic rhythm. Right before skills sharpen, when clumsy, deliberate actions suddenly become fluid and intuitive. And right before momentum truly builds, when the force of your consistency becomes a power in itself, pulling you forward instead of you having to push. It's a paradox. The point of maximum effort often yields the minimum visible reward. Consistency feels hardest. Your resolve is tested the most, right before it starts paying off. But that's not a coincidence. It's a feature of the system, not a bug. That feeling of futility, that desire to quit, that is the barrier. It's an invisible gateway that separates those who merely start from those who ultimately finish. It's the price of entry to the next level, filtering out fleeting interest from true commitment. Pushing through it isn't just about endurance. It's about understanding that this difficult passage is the final, necessary step before the breakthrough. Consistency doesn't require intensity. It requires patience, repetition, trust in the process. You don't need motivation every day. You need a system that removes decision-making. When consistency becomes automatic, progress accelerates. Consistency feels slow until it isn't. If you stay long enough, effort turns into momentum, and momentum makes progress visible. The results are closer than you think.